Hi everyone, welcome back. So after understanding about the conditional statements, which were actually if and else statements, where we took an example of the review, like how we can differentiate if a review is positive or negative for a natural language processing models based on the if then else statements. Now today we'll be moving forward with the functions. So functions are basically a building blocks which are like a reusable code blocks. So instead of executing, let's say if I want to print my name 100 times, instead of writing Yashi, Yashi, Yashi 100 times, or instead of creating this whole sentence or this line 100 times Yashi, we just create a function, we call the function, and everything is done. So we can reuse a specific function for thousands or lakhs or like millions of times or sentences wherever we want to. So instead of writing a code 10 100 times or 1000 times, we just use this functions 10,000 times. That makes the code more easier to understand. So one thing in Python is we always create function with the def keyword. So for that, let's say I just wanted to count the words which are present. So, for example, we have a sentence. Let's say we have a sentence. This NLP with Python is a powerful, like NLP with Python language is a powerful thing. So we just need to find the number of words which are present in the sentence. Now let me tell you a thing here. In natural language processing, we usually count the words that are present in a sentence so that each one by word, like each word will be described to the machine, to the computer to understand it. Like you cannot explain, you cannot make computer understand the whole word. Like if I say my name is Yashi Verma, computer won't understand the whole word. We always make them understand single word at a time. For example, it will understand first my, then name, then is, then Yashi, and then Verma. So this is how computer understand that. So because of that, we will be using this word count functions a lot of time when we'll be working with the NLP. So text inside the function, this word count is the function name, and inside the function we pass a parameter which is text. Parameter is basically the sentence that we are passing here. Now return statement will return the thing that you wanted to return. So I wanted to return the number of words. So for that I will be using the length function, which is len. Inside it we specify text. Now first thing is we wanted to divide a sentence into words. So to divide something into words we use the split function. We have already used this before. So we use a split function. Then we come out of the function and now we'll be calling the function. So I'm going to write print function name, which is word underscore count, and inside we pass a sentence. So let's say I'm passing NLP with Python language. Python is a powerful language. Now when I run this, it is supposed to return me number of words which are present in my sentence, which is like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. There are seven words present in my sentence. Perfect. So Python returned me 7. So this is how we can reuse this function multiple number of times, how many times we wanted to. I can again call the same function, which is the word count. Here I can pass a different sentence. Let's say I'm passing my name as Yashi Verma. And let's run this. So now it's going to return me 5. So number of times, like how many times you wanted to call a function, you can definitely call it that number of times. So this was all about understanding about the functions. Now moving back to the next part that we were like after the functions, we have some more topics to be covered, which is basically the more part of Python essentials. So after functions, we have classes. So what are these classes? So classes are basically we can treat classes in a way that this will help you to group related data, which means related variables, and behavior, which means functions together. What I mean by here is in a class, you can group variables and functions all together. So think of class like a blueprint for creating objects. So let me just explain you this in a very simple example. Let's say I am working at a library where I want to create a code which will be used for handling the books in a library. Now, in a library, we might have various variables. Variables includes author name, the title of the book, and all these details, right? Along with it, you also need functions. Like for example, if person picks one book, then the author and title will be different. If person picks another book, then the author and title would be different. If person picks another book, the author and title would be different. So I cannot write author and title again and again whenever someone picks a book, because let's imagine there will be thousands of people coming to library and picking something or buying something or reading something. I cannot insert every title and author name for that. So if we just click an idea, we need a function for this, right? We just need to call the function and all our details will be printed. But you need variable, you need functions both. Variable is basically title and author, and function which is going to print this details. So which means you need to submerge, you need to merge together your variables and your functions. And that can be done inside a class. So class is going to be created where we have functions, where we have variables created. Those variables will be having some data and those data will be printed for you. So we will be working with that code. So basically we can say that classes are like an organizing your code in a way where you organize your functions and variables all together. So that's how class used to work. After that, we have another topic which is file handling. So file handling in Python is one of the important topic because we use file handling for major scenarios. If you're working as a data engineer, you need to know the concept of file handling. If you're working as a data scientist, you need to know the concept of file handling. If you are working as a machine learning expert or a machine learning coder or developer, whatever it is, you need to know what is file handling. So file handling is basically handling your files, which means Python lets you read data. It also lets you write your data inside a file. So you will be able to read a file, you will be able to write a file. This is very important for handling all the data sets, all the logs, and saving your results. Let's say you are reading a file which contains all the details of, let's say, sentences that we are going to cover. Or let's take an example of those book functionality, like handling books in a library. So in that, you need a function, you need Python to read a file where every details of a book are written. So you will be reading that file, you will be understanding, like computer will be understanding, and then computer will be writing the important data. Let's say you want to extract only some specific parts from a read file and then write it onto another file. So you can do that with the help of Python. You can read a file by using open command, write a file by using .write command. So we'll be using that to will be writing and reading a file. So now after that, another topic is the virtual environments. So virtual environments in Python is like a separate workspace for each project. So libraries from one project don't mess up with another. Let me just give you an example for this. Let's say we are creating two projects here. One project is handling all the bugs which are present in a library, and another project is, let's say, we are creating respective to NLP. Okay, so both are different projects. The libraries that are going to be installed for both the projects will be different. The packages, the modules, the functions that we are going to import, install would be different for both the projects. Now, as we are working in the same environment, which is VS Code, with the same interpreter, which is Python. Okay, so because of that, it might be possible that your both the projects got descripted because of the would be messed up because of all the libraries and functions and imports and whatever you are going to do to install there. So this might be possible. So just to make sure that you have a separate environment, a separate space for every project that you're working on. So we just create a virtual environment. Virtual environment means that environment is only virtually available for you. It's not a physical environment that is present, for example, in VS Code. Python is a physical environment. I install Python, I'm able to run that. I'm able to run my scripts. But with virtual environment, that's an environment which is virtually present for you. What I mean here is without virtual environments, might be possible that like if you don't create a virtual environment, then the different projects may conflict because every function, every code that you're working on need different versions of the same library. One project need different version of the library, another project need different version of the library. So just not to mess them up, we create these virtual environments just to make sure we are able to run it. Now creating a virtual environment in Windows is different, in Mac or Linux is different, so we'll be looking at both the ways. After that, we have libraries and imports. So library are basically a pre-written Python code that help you to do tasks faster. Like you bring them into your program and you use the import function and all you're able to do. So let me just tell you. Let's say you want to find the square root of something. So instead of calculating the square root by some mathematical calculation, let's say dividing the number and all those steps, we already have a library in Python, which is sqrt library. It's a function, sorry, sqrt function, which is a part of math library. So we can easily import the math library and use the sqrt function and everything is done. Similarly, let's say I want to convert my data into lowercase, uppercase, split the data and whatever it is. So we all have these functions available in Python to use them. Without them, it would be very difficult for us to convert the whole sentences into lowercase. We need to compare with capital A, small a, convert into small a and all these functionality, which is quite difficult to. It's not difficult, it's a very lengthy process. So if you're working on projects, you cannot work on these simple lengthy processes. Always it's a task of a coder to make sure the code that you're working on is always of smaller length, like it is understandable, important and written in a smaller way. So that's the specialty of a coder, that you convert some bigger things into smaller forms, like in the less lines of code basically. So there are so many libraries that we use, and we use the import function to import those libraries. Then we have is error handling. So error handling is basically there. It is also one of the most important part every coder should know. Like if you don't know how to handle the errors, then there's no sense of you coding something, because coding might be easy, but handling the errors is the difficult part. You need to know what error might come and how to handle it. There are so many common errors that comes in Python. Like if you divide something with zero, there is an error. If you enter an invalid number, if you enter a valid number or something, like if you enter an invalid number, there is a value error. With dividing by zero, there is a zero division error. So there are so many errors that occurs. We have syntax error, we have exception, I mean sorry, if you miss the semicolon or something like that, there's an error. So program can fail if you do some of the unusual behavior, and Python lets you handle these errors using the try and accept block. So you can handle the errors by using the try and accept block. Now let me tell you the use case of it. Let's say you are creating a website, and in that website you will be asked with the person to enter a number. Now you haven't specified, let's say you want the person to enter number from 1 to 10. If person enter a number 0, it shouldn't be like your website is blocked. It's not responding anything and everything is stopped working, because 0 is an unusual number and you don't want that number to be printed. So because of that, there will be an error which is 0 division error, and your website won't work further. So to handle this, we use the try and accept method and handle the zero division error. And basically this will help us that this will print an output to the individual that please do not enter zero. Similarly, if they enter a number which is out of your range, there will be again an error which will show them please enter a valid number from range 1 to 10. So basically, instead of making our websites to stop working and giving a very bad user experience, we try to handle all these errors. So that's how error handling works here. So we'll be moving back to the VS Code and trying to work and trying to import everything and try to practice. So starting with the classes. So let's say I want to create a class for handling all the books in a library. So I will start with class for handling books in a library. Perfect. So whenever you're creating a class, we always use the class keyword. So we specify class keyword, then we specify the class name, which is book, then indentation. Perfect. Now we'll be creating functions. First function will be taking the values variable name, which is let's say the title and the author. Second function will be printing these details. So I'm creating a function def. Now whenever you're taking or creating variable names, we need to use init, which is underscore underscore init. So this self keyword inside init will help you to take care of all the variables that you're passing. So let's say I want two variables. First is the title and second is the author. Now, inside the function, we are going to write, we will be calling those variables by using the self keyword. So that's a functionality of Python. So I think you must be aware of it, as these are the basic things you are already aware of. You're starting with the advanced topic, which is NLP. But if not, still I will let you know all the basic things that are possible. So whenever you create a functions for the variables, we always use underscore underscore init. And then we start with self dot title is equals to title. We pass the variable, and then we have self dot author is equals to author. So here self dot title will call the variable and will input the variable value, which is title, which whatever we are going to pass. Similarly, self dot author will input some variable, and like it will input some variable which we are going to pass in author. Now we'll create a second function, which is def details, where we are going to pass again self, and inside that we'll be returning all the variables that we are taking. So basically we're printing something, so I'm using f. Now here I want to first input self dot title by self dot author. Perfect. So this function will input, with this function will print you all the details. Now what I want to is I want to come out of the class and I want to create two objects here. So those objects will be calling my class. So I create an object which is book1, where I will be calling my class. So I inserted the class name, which is book. Inside that I will be passed the title and the author name. So I'm passing first title as Harry Potter, and then the author name, let's pass as J.K. So I don't know if you're a Harry Potter fan, but definitely I am. So yeah, let's create another variable, which is book2, where again I'm going to call my class, which is book, and then I will be passing the title and the author. So second book, that title we are giving is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So it's one of the best book everyone should start reading. And the name of the author is Robert. Um, I think I wrote the correct spelling. Yeah. So after that, what we want is with these two lines, we are able to call the book, but we are also required to print the details. So for that, we need to use the print function. We use first the object name, which is book1 dot, then we call the function, which is details is my function name. So what happened is this book one, which contains this author in detail. First, book one will call this function. Like by default, when you use the class name, this function will automatically get called with the class itself. So when you call this book, this will automatically insert the self.title to be Harry Potter, self.author to be J.K. Rowling. Similarly, now I want to call the function. So for calling the function, I need to specify first my object name and then the function name. So with the help of this, I will be able to call the function. Similarly, I again want to call the function, which is book2, and here I again want to call the details. Okay, now let me run this and let's see what's printing. Okay, perfect. So you just got printed Harry Potter by J.K. Rowling and Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, because this is how we wanted to print. So that's how class work, where what we did is we just created a class with functions and variables. Like this is a function that we created, and this is a variable that we created all together. It's just a way of organizing your codes. So that was all about the classes. Now coming to the next topic, which was the file handling part, where we'll be reading a file and writing a file. So we specify file handling. Perfect. Now if I want to write a data, which for writing a data, I need to first open a file. So by using the dot open keyword, now what happened with open function is that it will automatically closes the file for the safety after use. So we'll be using the with open, and we'll be opening a file and then writing the file. Again we'll be reading the file. So I'm gonna start with open. We specify the file name, which is notes.txt. I don't have any such file created in my system. Okay, let me just tell you. We open this as in W mode. W stands for write mode, and we will be opening this file as F because using the F is more easy to use. So if I want to write something, I directly use F dot write. F denotes my file. So let's say I want to write, this is my first note. Now to make sure my data goes to the next line, I'm using \n, which is used to move your syntax to the next line. Then I again want to write something, so I'm using f.write, and now I will be writing Python makes file handling easy. Perfect. Now I am able to write the data. If you want me to run this, this will give me, okay, let me see. Am I able to create this specific nodes.txt folder or not? Save. Okay, so that is my Jupyter notebook that I've created, and this is the nodes.txt, which was previously not present, and now I created it in my Jupyter notebook by using the dot open function and by using the W mode to write the data. So that's how we create something. We write a data in Python without even creating the file. We use the function, and then automatically the file will be created. So if you're not sure, if that's not, let me do that again for you. So let's say now I created another file. Now let me create first note. No, let me just give it as NLP underscore notes. Perfect dot txt. How you want it? I want to open the file in write mode as F. Now what I want to write is I want to write F dot write NLP with Python is a powerful language. Now let me run this again, and we are connecting with the kernel. This might take some time. The interpreter through which we'll be able to run our codes. Perfect. You see the NLP underscore node txt file has been created and we are able to write the data inside it. Now to read the data, we'll be using the functionality which is same, which is with open. Here we'll be specifying the file name, which is, let's say, nodes.txt. We'll be specifying the mode how you want to read the file, which is R. R is like if you want to read the file or write the file. W to write the file and R to read the file. Again, we'll be reading the file as F, then we'll be using a variable content where we'll be reading the data. So by using f.read, we are able to read every line inside a variable which is content. And then we can simply print the variable which is content. Perfect. Let me run this. Okay, you see, I am able to print the lines, the data which is present in my notes.txt file, which I have just written above. Similarly, I can also change my file name and read in another file, which is NLP underscore notes. And now I'm able to read the data, which is NLP with Python as a powerful language. So this is how file handling in Python works, where you are able to open a file, you are able to write the file, and you insert all the lines that you wanted to write. You open a file, you would open it in a read mode, and you're able to read the file, the data which is present in your file. So that's how working with file handling works. So this was all of the understanding of file handling.